Guys, what's going on? Welcome to Cereal at Midnight. My name is Heath, and in this episode, we are taking our first of 3 visits into the Silver Screams Cinema box set. This is brand new from Imprint Films. Hopefully, everyone has seen our unboxing and overview video of the latest wave of Imprint. It's all horror, it's magnificent, and I have already started on this. I say the first of 3 trips, 3 visits, because there are 3 discs in this collection. There are 2 movies on most of the discs. Actually, with the one we're going to be talking about today, there are 3 movies because there's a bonus feature movie. These are the movies that are included, but we're going to talk about the first package right here, the first double bill. And this was an actual double bill from Republic Pictures in 1945. The Phantom Speaks and The Vampire's Ghost. So Republic Pictures was a Poverty Row studio. I've talked to you guys at length now about how Monogram, PRC, Producers Releasing Corp, Republic Pictures, these were studios that were independent movie studios. 30s to the 50s really is when Poverty Row was the golden age of Poverty Row. These movies were made, they produced movies very, very cheaply. They would reuse so many resources. But the things that might have been detriments to them at the time are now the things that we champion about them. Poverty Row movies tend to be quick. They tend to be dirty. They tend to be kind of grimy, sometimes a little on the exploitation side because they want to get those butts and seats. Given the time period that we're talking about, these movies come from 1945. Let me verify that really quick. Yeah. It's not super exploitative, but there are things in here. Listen, The Vampire's Ghost is sexier than you would expect, thanks to Adele Mara, who was a dancer and, you know what? I'm going to save that. Let's talk about The Phantom Speaks first. This is a very cool concept. Now, if you've been following, if you're a cinephile and you know these movies from the 30s and the 40s, well, this plot is very similar to some earlier horror movie plots. Basically, you've got a man on death row. He's a bad guy. He's killed people. He's sort of a gangster. He gets sentenced to death row, and there's an occultist basically who believes in the eternal nature of the human spirit. So he goes to our condemned man and he says, "Listen, you could be the first person to communicate with me willingly, to retain your essence in the afterlife. And I will be looking for you. I will be," he has like a seance sort of a thing. He'll be listening and trying to commune with the dead. And so I'm not going to spoil the movie for you, but the premise of the movie is that they both succeed at their experiment. But the cost is the evil man his spirit is so strong, he overtakes the scientist, the doctor, the intellectual, and then proceeds to continue to do terrible things. Similar to 1940s Black Friday, which had Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi in it. It's a Universal movie. I think that's on one of the Scream Factory Universal collections. Also similar to a movie called The Lady and the Monster, which had come out a few months earlier in 1944. The people at Imprint know this. They know exactly what they're doing. And so as a bonus feature, bonus 1944 movie, The Lady and the Monster is included. So you get to see The Phantom Speaks and see The Lady and the Monster. They've thematically combine these two together so you can see, and the premise of that movie is that the brain has been taken, the brain is controlling things telepathically, making evil deeds from beyond the grave via telepathy. So it's a little bit different, but it's the same idea, evil from beyond the grave, manipulating the world we live in. There are 2 commentaries, one by Tim Lucas and one by Stephen Jones and Kim Newman. Listen to both of them. Good commentaries. Different takes. Tim Lucas's commentary is a little bit more academic in its approach, whereas Kim Newman and Stephen Jones's is more conversational, and you can just tell that they love these movies, but they're not always complimentary. They recognize the limitations of these movies. They recognize that this is just the latest version of this story. They'd just done it a few months before. So that kind of stuff. It's a couple of different approaches, which I really like. So let's talk about The Vampire's Ghost. For the record, of the three that are on this disc, The Vampire's Ghost is my favorite. So it's a vampire story set in a jungle. It's in the deepest jungles of Africa. How many serials start out in the deepest jungles of Africa? And it makes sense that it would have that atmosphere because this is Republic Pictures, and Republic Pictures is way more responsible for serials than they are for thrillers and supernatural movies. The commentary on The Vampire's Ghost is by Tom Weaver and Gary Rhodes. And they comment about, I think Republic made 5 horror movies. And they're like, they don't even know how to make a horror movie. They're making an adventure serial, which is maybe why I liked it so much, because it's unconventional. It's a vampire movie set in the deepest jungles of Africa. And it's actually Bakunda, I think it's not Wakanda. It's like Bakunda is the name of where, it's a fictional place. But like, wouldn't it be crazy if it was Wakanda? Wakanda forever, because you're a vampire. But it's a really, I like it. It's a very fun movie because it allows, by the way, it's 59 minutes long. Right on, Republic, and it does everything it needs to do. We don't need 2-hour movies that take their time and just meander to 59 minutes, says what it has to say, gets in and gets out. You've got basically you've got white traders who are in town because there's like a rubber business that is in Africa at the time conducting their business, and they're using the local labor workforce, which is historically accurate. That's the thing that really happened. It would be easy. Now, while this is tricky, so I'm not going to go too in depth on this. It's not a politically correct movie because it's from 1945. It does have African American actors in tribal stuff, accoutrement. But I want to say this, and the commentary actually calls this out. All the white people make the wrong decisions. The vampire continues to thrive because of the arrogance of the white people, and all of the natives know exactly what's going on. They know it from day one, and they're like, no, here's what we have to do to stop this. So it's an interesting, that's surprising for 1945, I think. You wouldn't necessarily expect that. So if you can get past the dated cultural identities that are being presented, which of course they're grossly outdated and egregious. If you get past that, there's some interesting things that this movie does. And I think it's a lot of fun because you take a vampire story out of the traditional gothic atmosphere. You take away like the churches and you put it in the jungles of deepest Africa. You get something else entirely. They still have the cross imagery. You still have the vampire mythology, but how it goes about it is interesting, and it's not a common thing. It's not something we see a lot in vampire movies. So I got to talk more about Adele Mara because she's a vision. She is a dancer in the movie. She is sort of the bad guy's, maybe his. They're not romantically interested, but she's dancing in one of the clubs there. It's like a bar. It's a small village, right? She's dancing in one of the bars there, and she is, man, it's spicy. It's very sexy, especially for 1945. According to the commentary, the censors in 1945 did not like the dance. They thought it was entirely too suggestive. So like whipping her skirt up, and she's bending over backwards, bare midriffs. So, it's so funny to go back. We think about what these movies would have been at the time. We're like, oh, well, they didn't. It was so tame, but there was a lot of skin on screen, even in the 30s and the 40s, especially in the 30s. But even in the 40s, after the crackdown of the ratings, the decency police. So these 3 movies are collected on this. This is just 1/3 of the way through this box set. So I'm tremendously excited about this. I love these movies. I love this kind of movie. I love Poverty Row, low budget. Horror, thriller, mystery, crime, noir. That's the thing. A lot of it, by the way, I didn't even mention to you guys, the Lady and the Monster from 1944 was shot by John Alton, who is the famous film noir cinematographer. Classic Flicks, our friends at Classic Flicks actually have a John Alton film noir collection. It's 3 movies because he's so famous for what he did, his style. He painted with the canvas. He painted with light and shadow. So these movies have a heavy noir influence, which I love. You know, we've got a video, we have multiple videos about noir, but I have a specific what is film noir video. And they really have so much power and immediacy. They don't stand up to intense scrutiny, but they were never supposed to. These were supposed to distract you for an hour. You're going to have a good time. And if you get like some good cinematography or some memorable scenes out of it, well, that's a win. So I'm very happy with this. This is the first of 3 looks that we will be taking at this collection. Next up, I'll give you the sneak peek. Next up, we will be, make sure I got these in the right order. Yeah, we will be discussing Return of the Ape Man, which is a sequel to The Ape Man, and Valley of the Zombies. So come back here soon. Stay tuned. You know what? I don't say this often enough. Subscribe. Make sure you've pressed that notification bell so when I put up a new video, you don't miss anything. You don't want to miss the other 2 videos for this box set. I don't want you to miss it. I want you right here. So guys, thanks so much. Take care. And until next time, here's where to go and what to do.